Morena, gentlemen. Hope you and your families and property are holding up okay during these challenging times. No doubt there'll be a bit of pressure in some households, so please do your best during this time of distance learning. If it's not an ideal time for you with your learning, don't worry so much. Our lessons here, of course, are going to be recorded online, allowing for some catch up when it is a bit more suitable, and hopefully we'll be back in the classroom next week and we can patch up any gaps in our learning over this period. To kick off today's class, we've got a bit of a word match quiz here. Now, bearing in mind that a few of us in our class haven't done economics before and didn't do our junior commerce course, this is really suited to you gentlemen, but also it'll be a little bit of a refresher for those of you who have done economics before. So if you guys like to take a moment, perhaps even pause the screen in just a moment and consider these words here at the top of the screen, which we're going to have to match with the definitions listed from A to I. So in your exercise books, write down A to I for each equals, and then put the matching word for the definition. So if you can pause your screen now and have a crack at that activity. Alrighty, no doubt having paused and unpaused your screen, you'll see the answers to that little quiz. Now, I would suggest that if these terms are completely new to you, that you would take a little bit of time in writing down these into your exercise books as notes. For those who've done economics before, I hope the refresher was helpful. Oh, look at this. We've got a wee multi-choice question, guys. So throwing our minds back to last week, we did a bit of an introduction with opportunity cost, and opportunity cost being the value of the foregone, just missed out on, next best usage of our resources. So if you guys want to read our multi-choice question here, which really the crux of it is a worker has choice between doing a 40-hour week, and we've got some information there, versus a choice from management to take a 39-hour week. So if they did choose that 39-hour week, what are they missing out on? We're disregarding the value of leisure time, so focus on the monetary difference between the 40-hour week option and the 39-hour week option. So if you want to pause your screen now and consider this, and then write down in your books the multi-choice answer that you think is appropriate from A to D. And having paused and unpaused your screen, you very well may have got correctly A. Now the answer is A, $4, because our workers have two options here: the 39-hour week, which pays $260, or a 40-hour week, which pays $240 plus that 10% wage increase. And 10% of 240 is 24. So really the 40-hour week pays $264. So if they choose the 39-hour week, they're going to get $4 less. So they're not getting $264, they're getting $260. So I think I can see which is the better deal of the two. So the opportunity cost of 39 hours is they miss out on that $4. And here it is, our final introductory slide on the economic problem, that being on resources. Now, resources are factors of production. They are all around us, they are within us, and we use them to help solve our needs and wants. Now, we can split up resources into four main types. We've got natural resources, which we can also refer to as land. Now, land, it doesn't mean it's just talking about land, the dirt outside. Natural resources, the water, which, hydroelectric schemes in New Zealand power a significant portion of our electricity grid. Minerals, so we're talking about iron there, which is used in steel production, gold for electronics, wood, wood in terms of construction and furniture. Animals would also fit in there as well. And think about horticulture, so vegetables and fruits, anything directly from our environment that we can use as a natural resource. Human resources, by far and away the most important, in my humble opinion. We can refer to them as labour as well, land, labour, capital, entrepreneurship, or natural resources, human resources, capital resources, enterprise. So human resources refers to rather all the human effort in production processes. It's our skilled labour, it's our unskilled labour. So that's both our the physical effort that we put in as people, and also that knowledge which gives us the direction for our physical efforts. Capital resources, or capital, are man-made goods and services which are used to produce other goods and services. So I'm currently in front of a capital resource right now, being my laptop, and very likely you presently are in front of a capital resource yourself, being a smartphone, laptop, tablet, or something similar to that. Bridges, tunnels, buildings, trucks, these are all money, these are all man-made things that are used to help produce other goods and services. And finally, guys, our final factor of production is enterprise or entrepreneurship. And this is that unique human creativity which organizes the other three resources. So it's that problem-solving, risk-taking element of the human mind that helps us organize the other three resources in better and better ways. So as I said before, resources are factors of production, and they're used to produce goods and services that satisfy needs and wants. It's got all activity down the bottom there, and this might be one not having your neighbor there. You might have your dog, your cat, your siblings, or your parents. So perhaps touch base with them if you'd like. But try and write down examples of these resources for the Auckland Grammar School context. So think about Auckland Grammar School as an organisation that provides a service, the service being an education to young men, but that service doesn't come out of thin air. It comes about from the organisation of these other three resources. So I'll give you an example. Human resource, well, you're hearing one right now. So perhaps pause the screen, have a crack at that, and we'll move on. Alrighty, so as promised and as per our course outline, this term we're going to be getting into the 3.3, or as under EdZQA 91401, internal. And this is about demonstrating an understanding of microeconomic concepts. Now, as I said earlier in this course, it's 5 credits, internally assessed in 3 parts. We've got 2 of those parts during term time, and 1 as the term 1 exam. And I'll talk more about that again in class time. The first of those parts is a few weeks away, and we'll be providing more information once we get back in the classroom. So we've got some key concepts here that we're going to be looking at as part of this internal: resource allocation, marginal utility and demand, diminishing return on supply, elasticity of demand, elasticity of supply, and market structures. Now, to crack into resource allocation, we're going to be having a look here at the production possibility curve, which is also referred to as the production possibility frontier. So we can abbreviate that model to the PPC or the PPF. So just be mindful that our workbook, which is en route to the school, which has been ordered, does refer to this model as the PPF, but it's commonly also referred to as the PPC. So it's a model because it represents behavior and outcomes from the perspective of a producer or an entity, a thing that has resources. So if we look down the bottom here, PPC, cars and TVs. So what this shows is the maximum amount of cars, so we're looking at the y-axis here, that can be produced using all the resources of our producer. So if they used all their resources to produce cars, that's how much, that point A, they'd be able to produce. But producers often can produce more than one product, and our PPC is simple in that it only assumes that a producer can make two products. And in this case, it's simplistically assuming that our producer can make TVs, which we can see on the x-axis, or cars. TVs or cars. So if our producer used all of their resources to only produce TVs, it would be producing the quantity of TVs shown where this curve cuts our x-axis down here. Because the curve is shown between both the x and y axis points here, this represents the combinations where our producer is using all of its resources to produce both cars and TVs. So point B, our producer is making Y amounts of cars and X amount of TVs. There's all these points along the curve are productively efficient, and it shows a full usage of resources. Producers might not use all of their resources, and that would be shown within the curve as a point where there's an underutilization of resources, not fully using its resources. Any point outside the curve is unobtainable. It's unachievable based on the current amount of resources our producer has. Now, where on the curve would we ideally want to produce? Well, there's one point, there's one combination of TVs and cars. That's what we call allocatively efficient. It's the most efficient allocation of resources that best meets consumers' needs and wants. And how is that point worked out? Well, that point is worked out by market forces. Now we can see over here we've got two supply and demand models, which again for those newcomers to economics will be a little bit foreign. So rest assured we're going to be going over cars and TVs and these markets in later lessons to provide a bit more detail. But for those who've done this before, this will probably be most helpful. So the equilibrium point in the market for cars, so it's shown as Y, and the equilibrium quantity for the market for TVs, X here. These are the quantities in each market that are the most efficient, where demand meets supply. It's in equilibrium. So on our PPC, the allocatively efficient point would be Y amount of cars and X amount of TVs. We'll be going over that relationship between different each respective market in the PPC in coming lessons. So here we have a little bit of a question, guys, just to round off our class. So here we've got a straight line PPC. So our producer can make Y good, very originally named, or good X. Okay. Now, if our producer, let's just say they started producing 1,000 of only good Y, if they want to increase the production of good X, they have to decrease the amount of good Y, and likewise, to increase the amount of good Y, if they're only producing good X, they have to produce good X. So have a crack at answering our multi-choice question, and we'll go over that in the next class.